Fear the Walking Dead Season 2 finale, Wrath and North. Now this was, I gotta be honest, this was a pretty epic 2-hour finale for this show, and I think the first half I actually enjoyed more than the second half just because it was so insanely crazy. And as unfortunate as it was, I kind of called it solely based on actually seeing the actor in a different show. But I was freaking out. I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know if, Chris actually made it or not. These two guys show up randomly and they don't, he doesn't seem to be with them even though they like just left. It was only 2 days. And I'm like, oh, I don't think he's going to make it. And I don't know, watching it, I was like, wow, the worst part about this, honestly, was that it was these two a-holes that did it. Like, I hated those guys from the beginning, and it was like, that is kind of what made it the worst thing, is that he did die, and it was just in a flashback, and it was these two people that did it, and it was just insane. I was like, wow, that is how he died. That's like, it just felt like it was the worst way that a character could have died in the show. It was like it felt the worst to me, just watching that. I was like, wow, this actually makes me sad, just because these are the worst two people, and I was like, I felt like he kind of has to go, but when it was kind of just, oh, he's gone now, he leaves, it was like, all right, that could be a way to do it, and unfortunately, he just flat out dies. So it was a crazy way to do it, and of course, that sets off the whole difference. Once, of course, I called it. I was like, actually, I didn't call it. I figured they'd have the hotel, something bad would happen halfway through the next season, but it's like, nope, had the hotel, built it up, bonded relationships between the guests and I still don't remember their names, but it doesn't matter now because they left the hotel. So the woman who like locked in the hotel party or the wedding party, and then the guests, and like Travis doing that was such a crazy catalyst, and he not I'm not surprised that it happened the way that it did, and I can't possibly fault him for what he did to those two, because it was incredibly satisfying. I just hated them. Even when they were let into this stuff, and the dude says like Mexcrement and stuff, I'm like, they're racist jokes and stuff too. I'm like, wow, I just hate them even more now. So watching them get beat up was extremely satisfying, and watching Travis do it was really crazy, because this was that final moment. He already felt like a horrible father for letting his son go, and finding out that his son was killed, it wasn't even that he, died in the crash. It was that they killed him. Which, same thing, just like with their friend. It's so stupid to even do that. Just leave the person and let them go on. If they die, then they die. But they kill him instead, and so Travis just loses it on the two of them and like destroys them insanely. It was unbelievable. Like it was like Hulk rage, and he just went crazy on the two of them. And unfortunately, during this moment, he slams the door on, I believe it was the groom. It was actually the groom of the wedding party. And he slams the door on his head. And not only does he knock him unconscious, but eventually that leads to him dying. And that's how they end up losing the hotel. Although Strand decides to stay, and maybe it will matter considering he stayed. Maybe the next season we will actually get to see more of the characters, because he'll still have his story at the hotel. But the way all of it played out was absolutely insane to me. And one thing I didn't really like so much was the dude who was like the hotel guy who's working under the hotel manager. She was like, you know what, we make this deal, you guys have to go because of course Madison's rule. And it was just interesting. I was like, okay, she was kind of making it work, and he was like losing his mind, and I'm like, did he forget? Like, it's been 3 days, and like 4 days ago they were trying to kill each other. Like, did he forget how Madison was the one that finally brought them all together? And he's just like, we got to get rid of them and stuff. And I'm like, he is like losing his mind. Like, suddenly he gives a crap about, especially because it was the groom and everything. I'm like, they were like worst enemies. They just held him captive like 3 days ago, and he's like, he hurt him and then he died. Like, he suddenly cares so much for this guy that had been their enemy for like a month, and then like these past couple of days they were like best friends all of a sudden, I guess. And he's like, no, he hurt him, we got to get rid of him now. And he was so unbelievably pissed. I was like, this makes no sense whatsoever to me, because they had it wasn't just they had no connection, they had an adversarial connection to each other for like a straight month inside of this hotel. And that's the craziest thing. And he was going nuts, like, we need to get rid of all of them. And I would have kicked him out, as soon as it happened and all this other stuff. And I'm like, how in the world is he losing his mind over this guy when, like, if it was the brother, the doctor character, I'd be like, all right, that makes perfect sense. It is his brother. Completely logical. He lost his brother. I completely understand. But this dude just was, like, losing his freaking mind. And I'm like 4 days ago, they all hated each other, and Madison was the one that helped him, and he's just like losing his mind over this stuff. And maybe it was because he's mad in general, because Madison, of course, kind of screwed up with the whole beacon thing, in the first place. But still, it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, why is he losing his mind like this? As if he's always like this guy. He acted like he was with the guest the whole time. It's like, no, he'd been kidnapped, and even when they showed up at the hotel, he'd been kidnapped for like 2 days or something like that. So it just didn't make sense why he was so angry all of a sudden. Like, there was nothing from him except he hurt this guy who I hated for like a month straight because they were trying to kill us. And now I hate them all of a sudden. So that I didn't, for me personally, I was like, that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I thought it just didn't fit right. It didn't seem to work too well. But then things really get nuts when the brother actually dies, or the groom dies. Not after they do some crazy surgery. This season finale was like insanely bloody. Like, it starts off with the fight, and that was like one little thing. And then on Nick's side of the story, if I'm remembering it, this was in the first half. When he has to kill the zombie and he like goes through the eyes to like mess the brain up, that was insane. And then them doing the surgery on the brother with the saw, and he cuts through, and like all this, like, it kind of looked like foam, and that's probably what it was. But it just like starts to come straight up out of the bone. I was like, whoa! Like, I didn't expect them to get so crazy with this episode, or with either episode, because both had some crazy stuff. But man, after you had to, watch his brother die and stab him with the box cutter, it got really nuts. And they go in and they start beating up Travis and stuff. And Alicia actually kills a human character in this, and that was, once again, another crazy freaking moment. She stabs the dude in the heart, and he ends up dying, not killing Travis. Fortunately for them, Strand was in the room, and he gets the gun, and he forces everyone else out. But they all have to take off now, and Madison's plan was actually to get to the grocery store. So they all end up getting there after all those people finally end up getting to the colony, which Nick is actually, I was a bit surprised, but he takes off, he sees the helicopter, so he actually does come back, and he's able to convince everyone to actually take off and get Alejandro to stay behind and actually kill off all the dudes from the grocery store, who, once again, this wasn't stupid as far as what I thought it was writing. I just thought these characters were really dumb. I was like, there's no reason that they should have died. Like, the way that those zombies were funneled in, especially on those stairs, they could have easily survived. That's all I was thinking, is like, all they had to do, not even have multiple people shoot, just have one person use a gun, shoot until they run out, another person takes over, have the zombies pile up on top of each other, and as the couple of stragglers get through, you just shoot them down as well. There's no reason, but everyone was freaking out like, oh, there's a bunch, and they all left into basically a cul-de-sac, so they all got surrounded. And when Madison, Travis, and Alicia get there, I was like, those guys are idiots, because they all had like high-powered rifles and shotguns and stuff, and they all got killed. And I was like, these are like some of the dumbest criminals I've ever seen. Like, there's no reason like a dozen people should be killed like that. Like, they went in the full thing, they went in the circle, and they went through like with military precision and everything. But when there's literally a man-made funnel for them on these stairs, they screw up and all get killed off. And I was just like, wow, they sucked. Like, I don't care that I didn't like them that much anyway, but I was just like, wow, they really sucked. Like, they just really, really sucked at that, and they got themselves killed. So they're all gone now, and of course the trio has to take off and figure out where they're gonna go now. And then we have Nick with his people, and they get to the border, probably like a couple hours behind Ophelia, who we actually got to see go through the fence. And once again, nothing on her. I mentioned that before. I think it was in my last review. I totally forgot to even talk about the last time she showed up because it was so insignificant to me. Same thing in this episode. She went to the border. She had like the cool little fight scene in the opening. And then the dude shot at her feet, took the knife, and was like, "Welcome to America." And that was it. She just didn't show up. Who knows what's happening with her? And I'm like, they're just kind of. It's like watching a short with her sometimes. It's just like, all right, that thing happened, and she never had any relevance to the other 2 full hours of the season finale. So, Nick has his people, and they get to the border, and it's like, all right, things seem like they're going well. They're gonna get to this camp. They're gonna, just walk, a couple of extra hours, and then not do some random people come out, but military people come out, and they all have, once again, assault rifles and stuff. They killed the one guy who had a bit of focus. He was like the featured extra, I guess, in like the last couple episodes. So he ended up dying because I thought they were going to do something and actually make him a more important character in the next season. But, he starts shooting back with the shotgun and they just light that guy up. Everyone scatters because, of course, you got assault rifles, shooting bullets, who knows how many per second. So everyone takes off. Lucy actually gets hit in the shoulder, which I didn't know what to expect with that finale, especially with them doing the slow motion stuff and the music playing. I was like, are they actually about to kill both these characters off? That would be insane, because not only would we have, Travis, who died in the early part of the episode, but we'd also have seemingly a brand new character, because we lost Alejandro, so I thought he was going to be in it longer. But he already died, so we lost him as a newer character. We lost the doctor character, who, I thought the hotel would last a bit longer, so I thought all those people would actually have bigger roles in the series. We lost him, we lost his brother, we lost the guy with the shotgun. I really don't remember his name, but I thought he would, like I said, become something in the next season, because they kind of gave him a couple of important lines. They tend to do that sometimes. It's like, oh, this person starts to show up more in like the last couple episodes, and then they start to show up quite often in the next season. But I really thought for a second that they were going to kill them. I mean, they were opening fire at random, so I didn't think there would be any reason for them to just, point guns and not actually shoot, one of them or both of them. So I was really tense at that ending moment. I was like, I don't know if they're actually about to kill a bunch of people off, especially 2 characters that, were there from the first episode. So I didn't know what to expect during that ending scene, but I liked the way it played out. I was, of course, very happy that neither of them actually died. And naturally, I'm super curious how this is going to play out. Maybe we'll actually see what happens with the rest of the people as they take off, from the border. And maybe they will end up back at, the grocery store or something. That's, I would assume some of those people went to the grocery store, and that would be like the last thing that they knew. It was like, well, this place is here, so, we might as well try that. And maybe that's how Alicia, Travis, and Madison will end up running into them wherever they end up on the road. But I enjoyed this finale. As much as I thought Chris was absolutely insane and kind of needed to go, this is probably the saddest death to me. And like I said, it was just the way it was done, because it was these, it wasn't with his family. It wasn't, he was fighting back or anything like that. It was just, he got killed by these 2 douchebag people. Like, I don't know why that just makes it so much worse. I guess because I just don't like those guys. And I was surprised they made it. When they actually showed the footage, by the way, it was like, oh, the truck rolled or whatever, and then they showed the flashback, and it was like, oh, they were in the back of the truck, and it flipped and stuff. I was like, that wouldn't have happened. They, especially with the way they showed it, they would have been flung up in the air and flipped and everything. So I was like, all right, TV magic, that's how it works. But just the way it played out, and it was just like, wow, that was his ending moment. It was with 2 people he thought were cool, and that's kind of just how it played out. And in all honesty, I was kind of hoping at the beginning, like, man, I hope that this didn't actually happen, that he didn't actually die, and they just said that because it's like, oh, whatever, like he took off, or I don't know, I don't know, like they thought he was dead and maybe he actually wasn't. But I don't know, it was just sad to watch it happen in that way, where he was just alone, no father, no family, no nothing, no one that actually even really cared about him. and he just had a messed up leg, so they just got rid of him, and he's just dead on the road, on a random road somewhere. So it was pretty crazy. It was just a sad way to see a character go, even if it was like, a character I thought was kind of crazy and getting a little crappy towards the end there. Like, you're doing some stupid stuff that I don't appreciate. But even with that, it was just like, just the way he went out was like, wow, that's actually such a crappy way to go. Just, knowing that they're, seeing them walk towards him slowly, and he's just trying to crawl away because he knows what's about to happen, and they just blow his brains out, and he's just gone, just like that. So it was actually a pretty sad death, just the way everything was handled. But I certainly enjoyed this finale. Of course, I definitely want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. There are a billion different questions. So first off, of course, with Chris actually having been killed off, I want to know how you guys felt about that. How you guys felt about Travis getting his revenge, and that also being the catalyst for them getting kicked out. What do you guys think happened with Ophelia? What's going to happen with Lucy and Nick as well? And what's going to happen with our trio now that they've not only found out that the grocery store is empty, but also the colony is, everyone's dead at the colony as well. So a lot of different things to think about. But basically, want to know what you guys thought about the craziness that happened in this one, and what you guys expect or even hope to see in the next season as well, and just what other little things you guys are thinking about for this finale as well. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.